Tony Rockwall was the cleanser king of Park Avenue. He was a man who had risen from humble beginnings to become a titan of industry, a symbol of success in a city that never sleeps. His journey was one of grit, determination, and an unyielding belief in his vision. He had a penthouse overlooking Central Park, a testament to his hard-earned success. This wasn't just any penthouse. It was a sprawling, luxurious space that offered a panoramic view of the city's most iconic green space. A fleet of luxury cars he never drove sat in his garage, each one a symbol of his wealth and status. These cars were more than just vehicles. They were trophies, each representing a milestone in his journey to the top, and a fortune built on suds. Tony's empire was founded on Rockwall's Universal Cleanser, a product that had become a household name. It was a simple idea, but one that revolutionized the cleaning industry. Rockwall's Universal Cleanser was a household name. It was a product that promised to make life easier, cleaner, and better. And it delivered. People trusted it. And in turn, they trusted Tony.
I started with nothing, just a great formula and a killer work ethic. I remember those early days, working late into the night, perfecting the formula, and dreaming of what could be. It wasn't easy, but I knew I had something special.
He was proud of his success, a self-made man in a city that worshipped ambition. Tony loved his penthouse. It was more than just a place to live. It was a symbol of his journey, a testament to his hard work and determination. It was his trophy, his castle in the sky. Every piece of furniture, every piece of art, was a reminder of his journey from nothing to everything. It had floor-to-ceiling windows that showcased the city's glittering skyline. At night, the view was breathtaking, a sea of lights that seemed to stretch on forever. The view was his favorite thing, a constant reminder of how far he'd come. It was a source of inspiration, a daily affirmation of his success and the heights he had reached.
I built this. Every brick, every window, every inch of this place is a testament to my hard work and determination. It's a reminder that anything is possible if you believe in yourself and never give up.
Not the city, of course, but his empire. Tony's success was a beacon of hope for many, a story of what could be achieved with hard work and determination. But there was more to Tony than money. He was a man of depth, with a heart that cared deeply for those he loved. He was a good father, even if a little rough around the edges. He loved his son Ricky more than anything in the world. Their bond was unbreakable, forged through years of shared experiences and mutual respect. He wanted the best for his son Ricky. He dreamed of a future where Ricky could take over the family business, where he could build on the foundation Tony had laid. He just had a funny way of showing it, usually involving large sums of money. Tony believed that money could solve any problem, that it was the key to happiness and success. To Tony, money was the solution to everything. It was how he kept score, how he measured success, and how he showed love. But he knew that money wasn't everything. It was how he kept score, how he measured success, and how he showed love. But deep down, he knew that the true measure of a man was not in his wealth, but in his character, in the love and respect he earned from those around him. Tony's journey was far from over. He had built an empire, but he knew that the real legacy he would leave behind was the love and wisdom he passed on to his son. And that, more than anything, was what made him truly rich. Tony's world collided with old Manhattan in the form of his neighbor, Gregory Van Skylight Suffolk Jones. Tony, a self-made millionaire who had clawed his way up from humble beginnings, found himself living next door to a man who epitomized the old guard of New York society. Gregory was everything Tony wasn't: pedigree, lineage, and a name that could be traced back to the Mayflower. His family had been part of the city's elite for generations, their wealth and influence woven into the very fabric of Manhattan's history. Gregory never let Tony forget it. Every interaction was laced with subtle reminders of Tony's outsider status, from the way Gregory spoke to him to the disdainful looks he cast in Tony's direction. He saw Tony's fortune as vulgar, his success as fleeting. To Gregory, Tony represented everything that was wrong with the new wave of wealth flooding into the city. Brash, ostentatious, and lacking in the refinement that came with old money. Their feud was legendary in the building. It wasn't just a clash of personalities, but a battle between two very different worlds. Tony's aggressive business tactics and flashy lifestyle were a stark contrast to Gregory's understated elegance and old-world charm. It was a clash of cultures, a constant source of gossip for the doormen and the society pages. The building's staff would whisper about the latest skirmish between the two men, while society columnists speculated on the deeper implications of their rivalry. It was Dynasty meets Shark Tank on the Upper East Side, and everyone had their bets on who would crack first. The tension between Tony and Gregory was palpable, and their confrontations were the stuff of legend.
His charitable donations are just crass attempts to buy his way into our world. Gregory would often voice his disdain for Tony's efforts to integrate into high society, dismissing them as transparent and insincere.
Gregory was particularly disdainful of Tony's attempts to integrate into high society. He saw Tony's philanthropy as nothing more than a calculated move to gain acceptance among the elite. He sneered at Tony's art collection, calling it nouveau riche and gaudy. To Gregory, the modern pieces that adorned Tony's walls were a far cry from the classic masterpieces that graced his own home. To Gregory, Tony was a pretender to the throne, a soap opera character trying to rewrite history. He viewed Tony's success as a temporary aberration, a bubble that would inevitably burst, leaving the true aristocrats to reclaim their rightful place at the top of the social hierarchy. Despite Gregory's disdain, Tony was determined to make his mark. He hosted lavish parties, inviting the creme de la creme of Manhattan society, hoping to win them over with his charm and generosity. These events were the talk of the town, with guests marveling at Tony's opulent lifestyle and the lengths he would go to impress. Yet, no matter how grand the affair, Gregory remained unimpressed, viewing each party as another desperate attempt to buy acceptance. From a distance, Gregory would watch these gatherings with a mixture of amusement and contempt. To him, Tony's efforts were futile, a spectacle that only highlighted the gap between old money and new. In the quiet of his study, surrounded by portraits of his ancestors, Gregory would reflect on the changing landscape of Manhattan's elite. He wondered if there was still a place for his kind in a world increasingly dominated by self-made millionaires like Tony. Meanwhile, Tony was undeterred. He saw Gregory's disdain as a challenge, a barrier to be overcome. With each passing day, he became more determined to prove that he belonged, that his success was not just a flash in the pan, but a testament to his hard work and ingenuity. The battle between old money and new suds raged on, with neither side willing to concede. It was a war of attrition, fought in the opulent halls of their luxury apartment building, with each man vying for dominance in a world that was rapidly changing. As the sun set over the Manhattan skyline, the feud between Tony and Gregory showed no signs of abating. It was a microcosm of a larger struggle, a reflection of the shifting dynamics of wealth and power in one of the world's most iconic cities. In the end, the question remained, could new money ever truly be accepted by the old guard? Or would the divide between them continue to widen? Only time would tell, but for now, the battle lines were drawn, and the war between old money and new suds raged on. Ricky Rockwall was nothing like his father. He was a dreamer, an artist at heart, trapped in a world of finance. Tony had pushed him into business school, hoping he'd follow in his footsteps. But Ricky was more interested in sketching in his moleskin than studying spreadsheets. Tony didn't understand his son. He saw Ricky's artistic pursuits as a hobby, a distraction from the important things in life, making money and building an empire.
There's no money in poetry, son.
It was his mantra, his way of nudging Ricky back to the straight and narrow path of business. But Ricky was drawn to beauty, not balance sheets. He wanted to capture the world with charcoal and canvas, not dollars and cents. He was a sensitive soul, easily wounded by his father's blunt words. He loved his father, but he craved his approval, his understanding of his artistic aspirations. Ricky was in love. It wasn't just a fleeting crush or a passing fancy. It was a deep, all-consuming emotion that had taken hold of him. Every thought, every breath, every heartbeat seemed to be in sync with the image of Miss Lantry. Her name was Miss Lantry, a name that rolled off his tongue like a melody. She was the epitome of grace and elegance, a woman who seemed to float through life with an air of effortless sophistication. And she was everything he wasn't, elegant, sophisticated, and poised. Ricky, on the other hand, was a simple man, unrefined and rough around the edges. He often felt like a diamond in the rough, unpolished, and unworthy of her radiant presence, and born into the world of privilege that both intimidated and captivated him. Her world was one of opulent galas, high society gatherings, and exclusive events. It was a world that seemed so distant and unattainable to Ricky, yet he couldn't help but be drawn to it. He'd met her at a gallery opening, a place where art and culture converged. It was a rare foray into a world he longed to be a part of, a world where he felt like an outsider looking in. A rare foray into a world he longed to be a part of. He had always admired the beauty and complexity of art, but he had never felt like he truly belonged in such a refined setting. He was smitten with her from the start. The moment he laid eyes on her, he felt a connection that was both exhilarating and terrifying. It was as if the universe had conspired to bring them together, and he couldn't ignore the magnetic pull he felt towards her. Her laugh was like wind chimes, delicate and melodious, a sound that seemed to resonate deep within his soul. It was a laugh that could light up a room and make even the darkest days seem brighter. Her eyes held a depth he'd never encountered before. They were like windows to her soul, revealing a complexity and depth that intrigued him. He found himself getting lost in those eyes, wondering what secrets they held. They'd talked for hours that night, their conversation flowing effortlessly. It was as if they had known each other for years, and there was an unspoken understanding between them. About art, about life, about their dreams and aspirations. They shared their thoughts and ideas, finding common ground in their love for beauty and creativity. About everything but the one thing that truly mattered, their social divide. It was the elephant in the room, the unspoken barrier that loomed over their budding relationship.
I know my father would disapprove. The words echoed in Ricky's mind, a constant reminder of the obstacles they faced.
Lantry was old money, the kind of family that had been wealthy for generations. They were the epitome of high society, with a lineage that was both prestigious and intimidating. The kind of family that saw the Rockwalls as upstarts. Ricky's family, on the other hand, was new money, having only recently climbed the social ladder. To the Lantrys, they were nothing more than ambitious newcomers, trying to buy their way into high society. He could already hear his father's booming voice, a voice that was both authoritative and disapproving. It was a voice that had always dictated his actions, a voice that he could never seem to escape.
She's out of your league, son. The words stung, a harsh reminder of the social divide that separated them. Stick to your own kind. It was advice that had been drilled into him from a young age, advice that he had always followed until now.
The thought made Ricky feel like a fraud, like he was playing a part in a play he wasn't meant to be in. He felt like an imposter, trying to fit into a world that would never truly accept him, like he was playing a part in a play he wasn't meant to be in. But despite the doubts and the obstacles, he couldn't help but hold on to the hope that maybe, just maybe, love could bridge the gap between their worlds.